There is a famous Gemara that discusses a city called TUR SHIMON that got destroyed. It's a city in Israel. This is found in Talmud Yerushalmi, Taanit, Daled-Hey, which is Perek Daled Halacha Hey. And the discussion is as follows. Tur Shimon, Hava Mapik Telat Ma'avan de Garbin de Markowa de Kaita Kal Arubat Shuba. That it says here that they would take out 300 different measures of bread every single Friday and of Shabbat for the poor people. Okay, Velama Harav, and so why did it get destroyed, this city? Yesh Omen Mipnei HaZenut. Some say because of zenut and illicit relations. Some say, no, they used to play with a ball on Shabbat. And so here's the discussion. Why would the city get destroyed because they played with a ball? The Rokeach says in Siman Nun Hey, min HaTorah. He said that it wasn't so much the ball playing that was the issue, which is an issue, as it's mukseh, the ball on Shabbat. He says that there were betelim min Torah, because usually Shabbatot and Yamim Tovim is given over to teach Torah. That's the famous ma'amar of Rabbi Hayya bar Abba. Rabbi ben Achia b'shem Rabbi Hayya bar Abba. What was it? He said, that's in Yerushalmi Shabbat Tet Vav Dash Gimel, Lo nitnu Shabbatot v'yamim tovim ela la'asok b'hem b'divrei Torah. So, if it was just for the ball playing, it could have been on the mukseh issue. But the other hand, usually Shabbat was a time that people took off, so that was a time where they sat and they were able to learn and gain that spiritual knowledge. Let's continue. Umashma mishibudei haleket. The shibudei haleket brings down in Kuf Chaf Aleph. Sha'isur l'sachek pikidur mishum mukseh. That is the issue is mukseh. Maybe the problem was the mukseh and also the bitul Torah. And it comes down from the Gra. So some say that it was the ball being mukseh, some says it's bitul Torah, and some says they were carry on Shabbat to Reshut HaRabim. So let's take a look at some more. Katav Bet Yosef, Shin Chet Dash Memhe, Katav Be'egor, B'Shem Shibudei Adeket, She'asu L'Sachak B'Shabbat V'Yom Tov B'Kadurim, that you're not allowed to play with balls on different types of sports on Shabbat and Yom Tov with different types of kadurim. She'enam reuyim latzur al pi tzedochit demamasi shemetanfe al yedei tit ve'afar. So there, they're talking about the situation. The Gemara's case was when they did this specifically on the ground, and it would call different furrows in the ground. V'chen kadush el etz, bowl made out of wood, asul tatelo v'letzchok bo. You can't carry it or play with it. Aval mehat tosafot, the tosafot bring down in Beitzah Yud Bet, mashma shemutar, that is allowed. Umihu beYerushalmi, Yerushalmi beperek batra de Taaniyot, halacha hey, matzati tur Shimon lamacharav. Why was the city of Shimon destroyed? Yesh omrim mipnei hazenut. Some say because of the zenut in the city. Ve'yesh omrim she'omrim shayu mesachakim bekadur, they would play with the ball. B'shulchan aruch, it's brought down in Shin Chet Dash Memei, Masur l'schok b'Shabbat v'Yom Tov bekadur. You can't play with a ball on Shabbat and Yom Tov. And then the Haggah, that's Reb Moshe Israelish, yesh matilim, some allow it v'nhagu d'hakel, and there's room for leniency, and he brings down the Tosafot in Masachet Beitzah. Okay, so that is the discussion on Tur Shimon. Now the question goes into the game of Shachmat. V'sh'ar misachakim b'Shabbat. Can you play chess on Shabbat? The Gabay Mishak Shachmat. So he calls here Iskaki, who Sternag. Okay, Nechlaku poskim. When it came to that game of chess, there was an argument amongst the poskim. Katav Rama and Shin Lamed Chet Dash Hey Mutar Lischok be'atzamot shekorim tashich. And it says here in the paper over here, Shachmat. That tashich is talking about chess. Umehataz, they call it Chamesh Avanim, 5 stones, or Sheshbesh. I guess that's backgammon. Afal pi shemashmi'im kol, even though they make a noise when you play with them. Ho'il ve'enam mechabanim lashir. You have no intention to make a song by when you move the pieces. And Hagaut Alfasi Sof Eruvin Lamed Hey brings down that's when you're just coming to play for the game. Aval Besochek Larbiach Asur, if you're going to play in order to gain money, that would be not allowed. Umashma Shegam Data Shulchan Aruch Maskima Lazeh, that even the Shulchan Aruch agrees with this. Mishum Ashve Gumot Va'al Zeh He'ir Arama, that when the Shulchan Aruch was restricting playing with eguzim, walnuts, it was because of the reaction into how you were playing the game when it was on the ground, on soil. The Rama explained it. It's specifically on the floor. Therefore, he allowed to play on tables. Okay, let's take a look at another piece on this discussion. This other piece is from hidush.co.il that I pulled up. Let's take a look at it. TUR SHIMON hava mapik telat ma'avan de garbin de markia le kaita kal aravat shuba. It talks about giving the 300 parts of bread on Erev Shabbat, which was trying to tell you that the city had a lot of zichuyot. They had things that they were doing that were great, but seemingly it still got destroyed. Okay, that's in Taanit -. So the question is, was it really because of the ball that they were playing? Was it mukseh? Was it carrying on Shabbat Reshut Rabim? Or was it because of the zenut? So let's continue on. He says, "B'mesachakim akreim hanerachim b'Shabbat aval liblot rov hayom b'zeh asur mishum bitul Torah." So he says that the main issue was really the bitul Torah over here. Kemo shemevi Maran Pe'er Hador, he says here in the Baal Meshiv Milchama Rab Shlomo Goren in Chelik Bet, mesachake sport b'kadur b'Shabbat, people that play sport and ball on Shabbat. Re'eh sham shemevareh shebamidrash mudgash shezeh haya b'Shabbat. He's saying specifically that the problem was playing with the sports on Shabbat, not during the week. Kach sha'isur mitam isur shel mesachek b'kadur b'Shabbat b'kol zeh al pi nosach שלא מובא שזה היה בשבת, יוצא שהטעם שהוא משום ביטול תורה, וכן הביא הרוקח. That this was specifically talking about Shabbat where there was a bitul Torah. Now, could it be that because of bitul Torah it caused the destruction? בפשטות, כך הייתה מציאות, לכן הביאו כמות שהיה. אבל אולי יש כאן נמז שביטלו תורה, אבל זה היה גם בצורה של משחק בכדור, שצריך להפעיל בזה כוח רב. So he says here, was it really because they just played ball and they had Bitul Torah? So he's saying here in his detailed analysis that in order to play with a ball, or the balls that they had, and some of the balls they had, they said they were made out of etz, like wood, it seemingly took a lot of strength. So if the people used all of their strength to play sports and didn't have any time in order to learn Torah, that shows more of a problem. It's not like they were just home on Shabbat sleeping and not doing anything. He says no, they were very active and doing a lot of things, just doing all the wrong things. So I guess there's a difference between actively playing a sport on Shabbat and just relaxing at home and not doing anything. They were showing that they have a lot of strength. And he says furthermore, so he's saying furthermore that not only did they have strength to play ball, but after they played ball with their strength, they went and did zenut with the girls on Shabbat because they had a lot of time. Instead of spending their time learning Torah, they had bitul Torah, but that bitul Torah led to them using all of their energy and strength to play ball and then go spend time with the girls on Shabbat. And these two are tied in and of each other. That it was on Shabbat. On Shabbat you have a lot of time, especially when Shabbat starts late and ends late. They would play ball and they would go with the girls on Shabbat. That on a regular day, between work, maybe they had time to also play ball, but they didn't have time to go do all these things with the zenut. לכאורה, על פי הנוסח של המדרש שזה היה בשבת, that it was on Shabbat, הסיבה היא משום חילול שבת במשחק בכדור, אולי אפשר לחבר שהטעם הוא משום ביטול תורה. לכן, מה שנאמר בשבת, הכוונה בשבת יש אמונה גדולה יותר על ביטול תורה. That on Shabbat there's a bigger issue with ביטול תורה. כיוון ששבת מיועדת ללימוד התורה. Because that's a day you have off, you should sit and learn and read the Torah that speaks to you. רבי ברכיה בשם רבי חיה בר אבא. לא ניתנו שבתות וימים טובים אלא לעסוק בהם בדברי תורה. And that's brought down in Shabbat Tedvav Gimel in Yerushalmi. That it was saying that really Shabbatot and Yamim Tovim were for people to sit and learn. Hashem understands that people need to go to work. He understands people have families, people have things to do. So during the week, Hashem says, Agita bo yamam balayla, you can learn in the morning, learn at night, you have Zman Kavua. But on Shabbat, what's your reason? After you spend time with the family and you have your meal, then you can go and spend and read time, and read and learn Torah. And so that seemingly was the biggest issue here. It's much worse on Shabbat when a person doesn't learn Torah. The main issue was the bitul b'Shabbat, not in essence the sport, or maybe not even the mukseh part. During the week they were working, didn't have time to play. Only on Shabbat did they have time to play. Therefore the bitul Torah came on Shabbat. אולי לכן הודגש שיחקו בכדור, שאילו היו מבדים תורה כיוון שהיו עייפים ונחים בשבת. That if they were just had bitul Torah, that they were just tired from the whole week of working, so they just were עייפים and they stayed home. כאין שביטלו בימות השבוע בשל העייפות לאחר העבודה, that when they came home from work they were tired during the week. בזה היו גם מקיימים עונג שבת. But that would be an oneg of Shabbat for them. אז זו הייתה חלה עליהם הגזרה. The gezerah wouldn't come on them. לכן הודגש שישחקו בכדור. That's why it's mentioning the bowl. שהיה להם הרבה כוח, that they had strength, they were not tired, they had energy. שצריך להתאמץ במשחק בכדור, and they wanted to let out that energy. because זה לא לימדו תורה ולכן נעשו. And therefore they didn't learn Torah, and so they ended up getting punished. And he brings down here the Mishnah in Avot. There are three things that hold up the world. Ala Torah, which is learning of the Torah. Al Avodah, on work, which is Avodah Shebalev, which is prayer. Al Gemilut Chasadim, and Gemilut Chasadim. They had the part of the Chesed, which was giving the 300 pieces of bread to the Aniyim on Erev Shabbat. But because they knocked out the leg of the Torah, a table can't stand on two legs. It could on three legs, but not two. Their world was destroyed, and that's why it came on them, the Khurban. And so this is an unbelievable lesson about whether or not you want to play ball on Shabbat. If a person wants to relax on Shabbat, just wants to sit, be at home, read, relax, it's one thing. But if you're using all your energy to go out and play ball on Shabbat and not use any of that for the Torah, the Gemara in Yerushalmi seemingly is telling you that there were cities like that, and those cities are not around anymore. I did look up who established this city, and it said that Shimon was one of the children of the Hashmonaim, and one of his jobs was to set up fortresses. And he was a very good builder of cities and fortresses, and he built TUR Shimon. Today, TUR Shimon is an archaeological site in Israel. It is destroyed, just like the Gemara says in Yerushalmi, Ad Hayom Hazeh. It doesn't say Ad Hayom Hazeh, but it's Ad Hayom Hazeh. You can go visit it, and you can see. And so there's a couple of things that we learn from here. This discussion of TUR Shimon, I also found it in the Midrash Rabbah and Eicha Rabbah on 2-5. So it's an interesting ma'amar of the Hazal of the dangers of wasting time on Shabbat and not spending any time learning Torah. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen v'amen.